In the arid heart of West Africa, a war has raged, quiet, complex, and largely forgotten by the wider world. It began in 2012, but its roots run far deeper. This is the story of the Mali War and the broader crisis that has engulfed the Sahel, a vast belt of land stretching from the Atlantic to the Red Sea. A region caught between shifting sands, colonial scars, and the shadows of extremism. Mali, once a crown jewel of ancient African civilization, home to the empires of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. Its cities, Timbuktu, Gao, Djenné, were once centers of knowledge, culture, and trade. But modern Mali has struggled. Ethnic divisions, poor governance, and economic disparity have simmered for decades. When Libya collapsed in 2011, the chaos spilled south. Heavily armed Tuareg fighters, once mercenaries under Gaddafi, returned to Mali, emboldened, battle-hardened, and demanding independence. In early 2012, they launched an uprising in northern Mali. Their goal, to carve out a new homeland, Azawad. The Malian army, underfunded and poorly equipped, crumbled. Humiliated, a group of junior officers staged a coup in the capital, Bamako. The state collapsed in confusion. In the vacuum, not just Tuareg nationalists, but Islamist extremists surged forward. Groups like Ansar Dine, Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, and the Movement for Oneness and Jihad in West Africa seized major cities. Timbuktu fell. Its ancient shrines were smashed. Sharia law was imposed. Music was banned. Floggings, amputations, fear. The world took notice. In January 2013, France launched Operation Serval, deploying troops and aircraft to push the militants back. They succeeded, temporarily. The extremists scattered into the desert, only to regroup and return. What followed was not peace, but transformation, a new kind of war. The insurgents adapted. Their operations spread, not just in Mali, but across Niger, Burkina Faso, and beyond. What began as a Tuareg rebellion in Mali had become a regional crisis, the Sahel conflict. It is a conflict without clear fronts, a war of ambushes, IEDs, assassinations, a war in the shadows. The actors are many. Jihadist groups like Jama'at Nasr al-Islam wal-Muslimin, aligned with Al-Qaeda, and their rivals, the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara. Their rivalry has turned parts of the Sahel into battlegrounds, not just between insurgents and governments, but between extremists themselves. Caught in the crossfire are civilians. Villages burned, entire communities displaced, ethnic tensions inflamed. In some regions, local militias have sprung up, sometimes protecting, sometimes killing. The line between defense and revenge, security and terror has blurred. International efforts have been vast, yet fragmented. France transitioned from Operation Serval to Operation Barkhane, deploying thousands of troops across the region. The United Nations established MINUSMA, a peacekeeping force in Mali. The G5 Sahel force was created by 5 regional states. The European Union, the United States, and others poured in funding, training, and equipment. Yet the violence escalated. Why? Because the causes of this war run deeper than guns. Poverty, marginalization, weak state institutions, corruption. These are the true fault lines. In many villages, the state exists only as a uniform during elections. In its place, insurgents offer justice, security, however brutal, and sometimes even bread. Meanwhile, national armies have been accused of grave abuses, mass killings, forced disappearances, torture. In counterinsurgency, hearts and minds matter. But too often, civilians have been treated as enemies. Trust has eroded, and with it, legitimacy. In 2020, Mali witnessed its second coup in less than a decade. Military officers once again took control, promising stability, elections, and a new path. But the cycles continued. Another coup followed in 2021. Frustration with foreign troops grew. Anti-French sentiment surged. In 2022, Mali's transitional government expelled French forces. Operation Barkhane officially ended. In their place came new actors, notably the Wagner Group, a Russian paramilitary force with deep ties to the Kremlin. Their presence, shrouded in secrecy and stained by reports of massacres, added yet another layer to the chaos. The war's geography has shifted too. Burkina Faso, once a relatively peaceful neighbor, has become one of the epicenters of jihadist violence. Hundreds of thousands displaced, entire provinces lost to state control, schools closed, journalists killed. The nation now endures near daily attacks. Niger too has suffered. In villages along its porous borders, civilians fear the night. Gunmen strike swiftly, then vanish into the vast open terrain. Military convoys are ambushed, aid workers attacked. The desert gives no cover, yet endless concealment. And still, the world looks away, perhaps because the war lacks spectacle. No columns of tanks, no headline battles, only attrition, only pain. As of 2025, over 10 million people across the Sahel require humanitarian assistance. More than 3 million are displaced. Entire generations of children grow up without schooling, stability, or hope. The conflict shows no sign of resolution. Peace deals are signed, then shattered. New coalitions form. Old ones fracture. Civilians adapt. Some flee, some resist, some simply endure. And yet, despite the violence, there is resilience. Local peace builders, elders, women's groups. They work quietly, often at great risk, to broker dialogue, to reclaim harmony. Their efforts rarely make the news, but they are the fragile threads holding communities together. This war is not just a war of bullets. It is a war of memory, of history, of identity. To understand the Sahel's suffering, one must listen to its people, not just to analysts or generals, to the herders who can no longer roam freely, to the children whose schools are now military bases, to the widows left behind in the dust. The Mali war is more than Mali. It is a mirror held up to global failures of intervention, of diplomacy, of justice. And yet, the future is not sealed. If stability is to return, it must begin not just in boardrooms or barracks, but in healing the divide between state and society, between security and dignity. The Sahel's people deserve more than survival. They deserve peace.